No, I have a series of questions that I was just.
Oh, good, okay, so why
You know,
don't
and I thought we'd see where that took us.
you, okay, that sounds
I mean, the
great.
first thing was, you guys lived not in Rogers Park, you lived elsewhere, the west side or
Well, originally, we were on the northwest side,
northwest
Solomon
side.
and Lemoyne.
And why did you move north?
Couldn't pay the rent.
Uh,
So we moved north because my father bought a hardware store at Clark and Devon. And that's why we moved north. We ended up at Clark and Wallen for a short while. And then the girls, my sisters, went to Sullivan. No, she went to Joyce Kilmer, and so did I, for about 4 or 5 months. And then something opened up on the south side of Devon for another hardware store, and we went there. And from then on, we lived on I guess it's Edgewater, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Edgewater.
And that's when you started to hate.
Yeah, we started at
Hate
School.
School.
And I still hate it. Yeah, and then from there, we went, well, then he bought a little building, and that hardware store kept moving.
Yeah,
It was terrible.
when,
I never knew
in the
where to go to
fifties,
work.
I remember it was south of Devon on the east side of Broadway.
Exactly.
No, Clark,
East side of Clark.
Clark.
It's that building there where they just totally renovated it and they got a new front on it now. It's
Really?
Yeah, it's right there, just south of Clark and Highwood, next to the glass shop and there's Tavern.
Oh,
It's
no,
not
no, no,
south
no,
of
that was not us.
Oh,
That was
Further out.
another hardware store that was the Elliott's Paint Store.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
mostly a
Because the
paint
inside
store.
used to have hardware up on the
Yeah,
outside.
the woman who bought that was an artist, and she kept the window as if it was a hardware store.
Oh my God.
For all the years that she was there, she lived above it, and she used the first floor as her studio. But it was an Elliott's paint store.
He was a veteran, wasn't he? Yeah.
I don't know.
What was his name?
You mean the guy who ran the?
The hardware store.
I mean, you lived in sort of in I don't know what. I mean, you were competitors, but but everybody was okay with it.
Yeah, they all had their own, we each had our own customers, you know. Yeah, he was a veteran also.
I think they had the same window for about 20 years, if I remember the same display. You could always walk by it.
No need to pay too often.
Yeah.
Exactly. Turpentine is turpentine.
What was do you remember the address on Clark, when you were on Clark?
6333, 6339, we had moved
Yeah, yeah,
Well, you moved to 33.
to 33
Yeah.
from 39.
yeah.
39 was the frame building,
And
Yeah,
33 was the double store,
yeah.
which used to be a tavern and a window, a curtain cleaner.
You,
And then-
you lived above 39.
oh yeah,
Yes,
the frame
yeah,
building.
That's the frame building.
Was the address different now, or is it different now?
No, they're still the
So
same.
63,
They're still the same
39.
addresses. They moved all those buildings back though when they widened Clark Street, right? They chopped off
I think they
the
chopped
fronts of the buildings.
the back of the buildings, I think they cut off. Yeah,
The back.
And that wouldn't help with the lighting of Clark, though.
No, why would they chop off the back if they were widening
Widen the
Clark?
alley.
Make it a
But they did,
You know, that's a good question, I don't recall that.
Did
I
they
know
actually
that
move the
was-
buildings then?
It was.
Yeah.
Well, they put them on tax and moved them.
either that or they chopped a chunk out of them and
Yeah.
Close
More
moved
on
the
the front.
fronts, moved the front facade back. I mean, they did amazing work. I mean, so much labor to accomplish.
When was that approximately?
I don't know, when did they widen Clark Street? In the 30s maybe?
I was busy at the playground.
Yeah,
Is that what it is?
Where,
Is that when they knocked out that big 3-story building that was at the corner of Clark and Devon at one time?
Oh, that was
Well,
that bank?
that was the old bank building.
Uh,
Oh, that was a terrible job.
Oh, no,
Knocked that
no,
down.
the big, he's talking about the building
That clock is right.
that's now our store.
No,
Yeah,
this is right next to
that
it.
got knocked down, and half of it was, the half where your index finger is,
Uh-huh.
was moved around the corner
Oh,
onto Schreiber. They literally picked the building up, 12 apartments,
Oh, yeah, the
and
12
moved
flat.
it, they knocked the first story off, which was stores,
That's right.
and they moved the 3 stories of apartments around the corner. We inherited that when we bought the building that we're in now.
And wrecked it.
And, yeah, some years later, you tried to be a, you tried to be a
Tried to be a
landlord.
landlord. I couldn't take it.
How was that working out for you?
the apartment building where the vegetable garden is at one?
No. It's an apartment building where the parking lot for the hardware store is.
Yeah.
Was a 12 flat. And we knocked that down not that long ago, well, in 1984 or
To
something,
make parking, yeah.
to make a
That's a
parking lot.
long time.
Yeah, I guess it is. It doesn't seem so long somehow.
No,
It doesn't.
they didn't do very well in widening Clark Street either. That thing was so steep.
No, although they stopped, they cut Ashland off just a few
Well,
years ago.
Ashland's a little wider.
Yeah, and made it, and got rid of the street there and made it a parking lot.
Yeah.
Where there's gonna be a murder at some point of the,
Yeah.
yeah, there used to be one.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
That's how I recognize it.
How did you recognize it? Oh, yeah, like me.
So you were a teenager when you moved out of 39 to 30, when you guys moved to Grantham? You moved, or did you?
Oh,
When we moved to Granville,
no. Dad was already
You were
married.
growing up, oh, that's right, that's right, they moved later. So you grew up, all your growing up was at 39.
In that frame building.
in the frame building.
Yeah.
Well, not all, but you on, what's the side street where you have a
Highland?
nice little house?
Yeah.
Highland, yeah, we,
Highland,
yeah, we lived there for some years.
Why did you move from Highland?
15 to 14?
I guess to avoid, to be able to sell the house.
You could live in the same place in the village.
Yeah, you can live
Yeah,
above the store.
Makes more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a nice little house. Well, the living room in that house was as big as that radiator.
This is on Highland?
This was on Highland, yeah. 1513 was our address. On Highland Avenue. Then, oh, that's right, we had a fire, and the fire burned something down, and the insurance company made good, and after they made good, they sold the building, and we moved to above the store there.
Oh, so there was
Yeah.
so that he was able to pocket the proceeds.
Exactly. So
Insurance settlement.
That's right.
okay.
What else we did?
So, I don't know, we were talking about, I mean, your mother would shop every day, right? I
Oh,
assume
yeah.
there were no grocery stores and so
Well,
on.
we have some listings of the stores.
Yeah.
Ernie,
I can't read it.
you talked about the dime store,
Oh, yes. On the bottom.
Devon, and the shoe store. There was a shoe store there. There was Lotka's Bakery.
Oh, yeah.
That was east of Glenwood.
There was a butcher. There was a butcher too, right?
Oh,
Oh, yeah,
Ebner.
Ebner's
Yeah,
Butcher.
yeah.
Butcher shop.
Yeah.
And,
Who everybody thought was Abner.
no, only I.
Oh, you,
I used to pick up, I used to go over there to pick up my mother-in-law's order.
Mhm.
And one day she said to me, would you go over to Ebner's and pick up? Yes. And I went over to Ebner's and I looked and I happened to see a little sign on the door and it was Ebner's. It wasn't Abner's like I thought, and that she was just speaking with her accent and speech, but I said, oh my God, all these years I thought I was going to Abner's, and it really was what she called it. And there was the drugstore on Glenwood and Devon,
Which is still there.
Yes.
a jewelry store next to the Ridge Theater, and there was Mr. Minwagen, the real estate man.
Who my aunt, my 92-year-old aunt,
Maybe you
said
wanna
was
read.
was sort of the hero for you
Oh,
and your
he
two
was
sisters.
wonderful.
I mean, kind of protecting you from the
Trouble.
older kids who were
trouble.
beating you up.
Well, Mr. Midwagon used to put me on his shoulders and walk me into the Ridge Theater, because they would never stop him. He was the sort
Where
of a big
was the
shot
Ridge?
in the neighborhood.
Where our hardware store is now,
Oh my gosh.
at the corner of Devon,
Oh.
you'd enter off
Yeah,
of
pictures
Devon.
behind it, right behind you.
And he said she said he also gave he gave 5-day notices to the families of the kids who were beating you up.
Oh, come on. I think
She made that up.
She's a storyteller. You used to call her a liar.
That's not true then, I guess.
I don't think so.
So I should just take all these things that she wrote and forget about it, huh?
Midwagon has relatives too, they wouldn't want to hear that story.
Two
Oh,
of the
boy.
people that Bernie recalls coming into the store were Mrs. Toohey and Mr. Schreiber.
Right.
And
Goodness.
they were the
Yeah.
street names that we now know.
So they must have been like the children
Yes.
of
They're
Yes.
all
those.
farmers of the
Yeah.
farmers.
Yeah.
Bernie said that south of Devon, there were just a million taverns.
Yes, hard,
Because Rogers Park was dry.
Right.
And Bernie was under the impression, no, you tell me.
Well,
You
I
know that.
thought that every store was a tavern. I didn't know of any other kind of store, because we lived we worked south of Devon.
yeah.
But then I found out later that Edgewater was dry and
Park,
Yeah.
Rogers Park was dry.
and Edgewater was wet. So that's why every available store was a
Everything
tavern.
right.
I
Yeah.
remember in the
south.
50s at Harlow's. Harlow's.
Harlow's
Harlow's.
Liquors.
That was, I know where they
I
were.
don't, I
At the
don't,
corner
I
of-
don't remember where they were.
Oh,
Yeah,
they're
they were
corner
at
of
Thumb.
Clark and Thumb.
yeah, they
Your
were
phone,
across
yeah.
from the donut place, or like kitty.
Right, they were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
I mean,
right at
they
that,
were
right
there
at
for
that corner.
many years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We would go up there for ice cream, really, truly. We would go there for ice cream.
At Harlow's Liquor?
Carlos
To the
Liquors. Yeah, really.
That was
yeah,
when
they
we
sell
were
ice
They
young.
have like scoop
Yeah,
out
no,
ice cream.
yeah, and they also had big freezers, you could get ice, and I'm sure you could get cold beer, but you could get, on a hot night, you could get a, pint of ice cream.
Came to the liquor store for a little ice cream.
Yeah, I remember.
You have written, we wrote here about the Ridge Theater and Wednesday night.
Oh, the dish night, or dishes. Free dishes if you go to the movies after what's the afternoon show? like?
Oh,
Matinee.
Oh, yeah, you
After the
go,
matinee.
and they'd be giving out a certain thing a week, like a dinner plate
Yes,
on one week, and the next time you could get a butter plate.
you try to make it a set. 12 years.
So
how long did that go
You, of
on?
course, have the fondest
Rico.
memories of
Oh.
Saturday afternoon.
Oh, yeah, the Buck Rogers, and who else?
Bernie gave up,
All the cereals.
All the
Bernie
cereals,
gave
yeah.
up my mother-in-law's dream of having a violin player. He had to go to see the movies on Saturday, so he didn't take his Saturday violin lessons.
And what did it cost to get into the theater? A
He
dime?
doesn't remember.
10 cents to get in? And
I
Shirley
know that-
talks about pulling the
We're going in.
fire escape down
Oh, I don't remember
and sneaking
that.
in, crawling up the fire escape and in
It was terrible.
In the fifties, it would be a quarter for kids to get into the Granada,
Yeah.
but that was fancy.
It was already gone, I mean, it was already gone as a theater by then. By World War II, it was done, right, as a theater? By the time you were a teenager. Did you ever have a date? Did you ever take a date there?
To the ridge?
To the Ridge?
They have.
No,
You were
I was
too little,
for that.
you were too little.
Too young.
And you would have gone to what, the Granada or the
Yes.
Northtown?
Yes, the Granada,
Sort of
the
habits.
Granada and the Northtown were much more, I never went to the Ridge when I was going with Bernie, but I don't think there was a Ridge.
No, I don't think there was. That was after
I
the
think,
war
didn't they
already.
say it closed in 52, reopened and then closed in 52?
Yeah.
Close
That's
to
what the
52.
sign said, yeah.
Right.
And you told me about the newspaper stand
Oh, yes.
on the northeast corner of Clark and Devon, and it was run by,
Mr. Smolovich. Try to spell that one.
Yeah,
Mr. what? Smooth?
Smolovich.
As I recall.
Yeah, there was a newspaper stand there not that long, I mean, for many, many years.
and there was Ehrlich's Furs,
On the second floor,
east of Clark on Devon. East of Clark?
east of Clark, but it was on the second floor.
What side of the street? What side of
Oh,
the
on
street?
the south side of Devon, across from the theater.
Yeah.
And Ehrlich was there, because I went to school with his son.
A furrier could make
Furrier.
a living on
Yeah.
the corner of Clark and Devon.
I didn't even know
And the
about
stretchers,
it.
I remember the stretchers that he used for
Yeah.
stretching the fur.
And Mr.
Also,
Flood,
he actually made the,
Oh, yeah, from scratch, from scratch.
so he'd buy furs and make
Stretchers.
By pelts.
Yeah.
Yes.
What a business.
Listen, you do
Where's
what
the
you
smell?
have.
You probably stored it too.
And did you say flood chemical?
Mr. Flood sold clean supplies.
Yeah, that was next to the, what ended up the Brown Bear.
Brown Bear Restaurant.
Oh,
Next door, he was next door there.
And here's another.
When did the Brown Bear go get there?
Oh, I have no idea, but I had a lot of lunch there.
Johnny Hill.
Johnny Hill,
Johnny
that's
Hill.
right, Johnny
Brown
Hill.
Bear.
Brown bear.
Brown Bear,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah, I remember Johnny Hill's too. And then, Mr. Barlow,
Barley's Furniture.
Oh, Barwick's there, oh, yeah. Oh,
That
yeah, I
was on-
remember
Which
that.
is still a furniture store, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
still
it is.
the
Oh, my
I
gosh,
saw
yeah.
those,
mattresses and
Yeah, yeah.
couches, inexpensive furniture.
and then there was the Atlantic Restaurant. Well, actually, we're fudging on this. The Atlantic Restaurant was on Clark Street, south of Devon.
yeah, they were.
Did that become the, is that what became the restaurant that burned, the Oxford that burned down?
Yeah, that was.
Did the Atlantic
Right.
become the Oxford, it was called the Oxford
I
Restaurant?
don't remember that.
That was the huge fire on New Year's Eve.
Oh, was it?
It was a terrible, terrible
Where
fire.
was
Wasn't that where the Shell station
That was, I was
The Shell
probably
station.
about
Yeah.
Is there now?
And
15, it
tell
must
us,
have been in the early sixties
Yeah,
that the Oxford
Yeah, it
burned
was
down.
like New Year's Day or New Year's Eve.
It was New Year's Eve because all the, we still had all the, what do you call it? All the liquor that we gave to the janitors in those days.
yeah.
The janitors would each get a bottle of booze. And the firemen were coming in and it was bitter cold. It
They would
was,
thaw out.
and we're all drinking the booze.
Drinking the Christmas presents.
Drinking the Christmas
Let us
presents. No, I mean, they'd walk
No,
out
they were
drunk,
good.
and by the time
No,
they
they
hit
were
the
good.
street, the cold air would
Oh,
just
yeah.
boom.
They were good. They were good firemen.
They were good firemen, from right around the corner
Right,
on
yeah, that's
Rosemont.
right,
Yeah.
that's right.
I don't know.
In fact, I
if
think there were
they had
firemen killed in that.
Yes,
fire,
there's
if I'm not
there's
mistaken.
I
a
wonder if
picture of
it's
that
'cause of the
fire,
drinking.
I think, yeah, it's probably that fire was New Year's
Maybe
Eve,
because
and
it
it's, I
was
think it's 1959, but it's in Dave Collins' book of the Great Chicago Fires.
Wow.
Oh,
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 my gosh.
interesting.
That is interesting.
And there are still the children of the waitresses who I remember from, come into the store now. I can't remember, her name, but, she was an Irish
Oh, I
lady.
think I know who you mean.
She was an Irish lady who, she was terrific. Big, big, buxom.
I think she ran the restaurant in the school.
Well, I don't know. One of them, they split up and one went to Peggy and Johnny's.
Peggy and Johnny's, I remember.
On the
We
corner
used
of
to eat
Bosworth
breakfast there.
and Devon.
I
We
didn't
have some
It became a
breakfast.
diner
Peggy and Johnny's.
where, I
She was a
remember,
big hefty woman.
you remember there was a cab driver, a Jewish cab driver. It's like, what is this, how does this happen? But a Jewish cab driver who would sit there in the, what do you call it, in the diner, and with a huge stogie. I remember he had a big cigar. We'd eat breakfast on like Saturday morning or whatever it was. And this guy would be sitting there with his cigar at 7 o'clock in the morning. That's fucking
He was getting off his shift.
maybe he was getting off, you're right. Maybe he was.
Okay, Bernie, you can tell us about where they sold Christmas trees.
Well, that was, I don't remember his name, but they were across from where the post office is now.
Oh, yeah.
They,
Yes, yes,
every
yes,
year they
yes,
have
every
all
year.
big,
They- oh,
beautiful Christmas trees they would sell.
Yeah.
And,
And I remember my mom would give my dad $5 year after year after year.
This is your budget. This is your budget for the Christmas tree.
And there, we have the two Collins sisters. Tell us
Oh.
about them.
there was a grocery store on Clark near Wallen, on the east side of the street. There was a father and two daughters that ran the store. And they ran it for many years after the father passed on. And they were, the name was Collins. That's as much as I can remember about them. But
And you told me also.
and there still is a grocery store there, I believe, now. Still there.
Huh, in the building?
But it's, but it's different owners, I'm sure.
Yeah, probably Hispanic.
Yeah,
And-
yeah.
Well, chances are.
And you told me as we were driving to work the other day about the dairy barn on Greenleaf and Clark, where the Bowman Dairy, where the horses would walk up the ramp to the second floor.
They have a picture of that.
Yeah, of the truck or of the cart.
We have the picture of the horses lined up at the dairy.
Oh, really?
Where was this located?
Greenleaf and Clark.
East of,
Horses walking around.
Were there? I mean, how long were there horses as sort of
The horses
working?
stayed as milkmen for the longest time, because they were automatic, They would, they knew they were
Oh,
out,
is that the
Yeah.
reason?
so the guy would walk along beside them. They didn't have to drive them, they were automatic.
So they knew to stop at Mrs. Jones' house and
Yeah, so they
stop
went into the
there.
50s, maybe in the 60s.
One of the drivers died,
So, of course.
and the horse continued the route.
For many years.
They had a heart attack in the middle of the day, and the horse finished the deliveries.
Kept delivering the milk.
one other thing that I just recall. There was a tavern at the corner of Highland and Clark, and one of those two stores, and it was Mr. Goliani that owned it. And the Bowman Dairy driver would stop his horse, take out a nose bucket, put it on the horse, drop the weight on the ground, and he'd go in and do his paperwork while he had his lunch.
His lunch. Well, he drank his lunch.
No, I don't think he drank.
The horse had his
No, he was in the tavern just for the camaraderie.
I was going in to get ice cream.
Then maybe
Yeah.
places together.
Yeah.
He was getting ice cream.
Mr. Goliani.
And the horse would wait, and then, and this was when he was done, right? And then he would go back to the barn.
Back to the barn. Yeah.
Well, Well, you can go on now because, or.
Did you get up to Morse Avenue? Did you?
No.
You didn't,
I took to go to Ashcan.
Oh,
Ashkenaz, right?
Oh, yeah.
oh, yes.
Ashcan, that's right. That's what they used to call it.
but there, you didn't do any shopping on Morse Avenue?
But my friend Ellie, who came from Germany, they came here in 1937 from Germany, and they had a little grocery store on Morse.
No.
Yeah.
No, it was further north.
And they.
It was, oh, okay.
Well, they had a little grocery store, I mean a little, you know, not anything like any, I mean nowadays you just don't have those
No,
kinds
you
of
can't.
groceries.
You can't make a living there.
Right, but yes, and she told me how he used to go down and very early in the morning to the vegetable and fruit market, and he would carry stuff home on, he didn't drive. Carried stuff home.
Told the story about the car?
On the streetcar?
Yes.
Well,
Very
I mean,
nice.
Dad, you told me about going down on the streetcar to the Jewel Paint Factory. And then what, and then coming back
They
with
would give me
paint?
4 gallons of paint, tied in a bundle,
You were,
and I would stand on the platform with this conductor.
this was the inventory for the store, the 4
No,
gallons
it
or
was a
delivery?
special order.
Okay, good.
Special order. 4 gallons of paint.
Sure, we can get it for you, no
Yeah,
problem.
I'll send my kid
That
down.
was the theory.
The boss,
Yeah,
And when would you go? You'd go on?
after school.
After school. So there would be enough time between after school and
Yeah.
when the factory closed to get 4 gallons of paint.
Yeah.
How long did it take to get downtown on the
I didn't go
streetcar?
downtown.
Oh.
Jewel Paint was on Grand Avenue, I think.
Oh, well,
we're still close down.
5 blocks from downtown. But how long did it take to get there? Do you
Don't
remember?
ask me, I didn't have a watch at that time. I couldn't tell time either.
Just as well.
Well, anyway, it was done, and we did it,
Yeah, yeah.
and it was fun.
Okay, now for you, now you've got the rest of
Well, you know, you talked about your folks taking English classes, right?
My mother did,
At where?
at Field School. She walked to the
Oh, at Field School, which was,
on Ashland Avenue.
yeah, right here.
But they unfortunately did not have the kind of material that they have nowadays to help people who want to learn to read and write English. And so they have these very demeaning primers that the very little children use. And demeaning, and I knew that because I came into her kitchen one day and she was hysterically getting rid of stuff that was on the table. And I said, "What is this?" And she said, and she finally told me that she was going to school to learn to read and write English.
And she was in her,
And she was.
almost
she
60
was-
by then,
Oh,
right?
yes, at least.
Easy.
And she said to me, "Don't tell anybody, and I don't want anybody." I told her, I was so proud of her, and that everybody who knew about this would be proud of her. I never told anybody until she passed on.